Hello, how are you? I hope you're good. I swear to God, every single time something is drilling outside. This is a Q&A part 2, and so last time I will suggest this somewhere here. Last time I answered your questions from Twitter, and this time I will answer your questions from Instagram. So welcome to the second part of let's get to know G a little bit better type of video. Hello, it's me. Oh, prepare also yourselves for me butchering every single username on this list. First of all, thank you so much for submitting your questions. I'm really excited to answer them. So I think without further ado, let's just get into those. Still Gallison, what did I tell you? Says, oh, I love Edinburgh, it's so beautiful. It really is. And my question is, when did you start with YouTube and your Bookstagram page? It's easy for me to track when I started my booktube because my first video is I think on the 20-something October? Is that right? My first video was my booktube newbie tag. So yeah, that's when I started my YouTube. As for Instagram, I know I started it a few months prior to booktube, but it was everything really started for the bookish type of thing quite close together. I don't know, I don't have my first photo on Instagram anymore, so I can't tell you for certain, but it was something like that, you know, roughly. Raven Reads a Lot is asking, who is a huge inspiration to you? This is maybe gonna sound cheesy, but the only answer that I could come up with is my parents or anyone on TED Talks. But I know my parents are extreme hardworking people. They sort of build their lives from nowhere and they're quite happy. Nothing was always or ever perfect in their lives. That's like, I can't really say that at all. But they always persevered and they always were really supportive of whatever I decide, and so I really have a ton of respect for them. And I know they're flawed people, I know everyone's, you know, human. I still find them my most inspirational people though, because they created me, you know? Just Melody is asking, do you love me? Yes, of course. And then she's also saying, okay, a real question, are you a fan of rereading books? I feel like I have a weird relationship with rereading books because when I was growing up, as you know, I was constantly rereading Harry Potter. It was a little bit ridiculous. I would have a few other series on the side that I kept reading. And I know on Instagram Live, I actually remembered once that there was a series that was called The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I think that's how it translates. And I know that the third book, I think, was not translated into Lithuanian. And so I went to where my mom works. I somehow found and downloaded that book from the internet in English, and I found it and I went to my mom's work and I pretended I have an assignment to print and I just printed off the book. that was some dedication, by the way. But and I think my mom suspected that I really didn't have that much for an assignment because it was, you know, a lot of pages. But anyway, so yeah, I would read some of the series as well, but I didn't read that much in the sense of like new books, but I read constantly. I literally constantly read as a teenager and a child, but it was mostly rereading Harry Potter to an extreme end. Like, it's ridiculous. I've read those books so many times. I could probably just rewrite them from my memory. Obviously I couldn't, but not with my memory, but you know what I mean. So I would finish it and I would pick another one up, and it was just rereading constantly. That being said, Harry Potter is still probably the only book that I properly reread over the years, because I am not against rereading at all, and I probably at some point will dedicate a month or a few for rereading the books that I really enjoy. That being said, so far I have so much catching up to do and I'm not the fastest reader whatsoever. So I feel like at this point in time I would rather read new books than reread stuff. I feel like that's a really good cure for a slum, because you know already what books you like, so you know what would be fun for you to reread again, and I feel like that would be a really good coping mechanism with reading hangovers. Brown Girl Loves Books asks, what are some books that you think were life-changing and memorable reads for you? Oh, right with the heavy questions. I feel like I don't have to mention Harry Potter. Everyone knows that that book shaped and changed a lot of people's lives, I assume, if they read them and felt as strongly about them and felt as involved as I did in the books. But I feel like I haven't read that many life-changing books, to be fair, and I don't think that a book can be that life-changing. It can be eye-opening, it can be life-changing, I don't know. I feel like every single book will change your life in a minuscule way that will then in turn change maybe some decisions or some responses that you will have in the future, but I don't think it's gonna be like this life-changing, you know, that like that all of your views are just completely 180. All I can think of is just like eye-opening books. So In Order to Live, which is about North Korea, or The Forest of the Gods, which was about the concentration camp, and it's just things like that. But I couldn't say that I have a lot of like life-changing books. Annis Wiltshire, might be a complete, I'm sorry, is asking, are you a fan of sad endings of books? Me, I love a depressing end, but lots of people do not. What is your opinion? I absolutely love it. I am a huge fan of the kill your darlings philosophy. I actually really dislike books where everyone is safe, everyone's bulletproof. It's very much like a Hollywood turned into book, where, you know, you don't feel an actual thrill because you're not afraid of the characters being injured or losing something really important, because you know they have this like protective sphere around them. It doesn't actually have to have like a sad depressing end, but it has to have a ride. I do not have to have a happy ever after. I am happy if there's a happy ever after, but I feel like we have to lose something in order to appreciate something else, you know what I mean? So sometimes that's probably one of the biggest criticism that I have for YA. Maybe not so much recently, but definitely when I was growing up, YA was a different kind of thing, guys. YA wasn't so much as a thing. It was mostly like really childish books and then like adult books. It wasn't like YA wasn't really a thing, but for the ones that it was just so fluff. It was just so fluffy. It was weird. So yeah, I definitely do appreciate the dramatic ending. The Fae reader is asking, do you like open endings or do you prefer that the story has an end? I personally love an open end. I know a lot of people like they get driven crazy, and I obviously I feel I'm one of those people who's gonna go above and beyond inventing what happened prior to the book for the characters, what happened afterwards. I love interpreting what their lives could have been given to the clues that we had. I love an open ending because it leaves you open for interpretations, but I know a lot of people don't like that and I can definitely see why. So I love it, but I also love when it's wrapped up in a really nice manner. I think a nice healthy balance is always the way to go, but I am never really mad about a book that had an open ending. Anything, sometimes I really hate how they force this like happy ever after, or like the last chapter that they include, whereas I think that where they left off just before the last chapter was like great and nothing really needed to be added. I feel like the biggest example that I can remember off the top of my head is obviously Harry Potter. I thought the ending was great up until the very last chapter. If you read it, you know what I mean, the 19 years later part. I was so mad. Even when I read it the first time, I was so mad at that chapter. It just sort of ruined everything. It made it so cheesy. I was just not a fan. To some extent, I understand the need for the author to wrap everything up in the sense that people would not be expecting any more of it, but at the same time, you can just go ahead and not write anymore. You can make a statement at the end of the book. You don't have to include it in a book. Honeyed Words Reads is asking, which book that you read this year surprised you the most? Were there any that you weren't expecting to like but ended up loving? I think one of the biggest surprises was Eliza and Her Monsters, because I picked it up because I wanted something really light and fluffy before I read Room by Emma Donoghue, and I have to say that Eliza and Her Monsters, I enjoyed it way more than I expected. So yeah, I really didn't expect it to have as much depth that it had. I really didn't expect it to even touch upon mental health, because clearly I just didn't watch enough videos about it or read anything about it. I really enjoyed it. I read it so fast, which is very uncharacteristic for me. And same with The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. At first, I actually had 2 attempts at that book. First, I listened to a little bit of it, and then I was like, oh, I don't think this is gonna be for me. And then the second time I powered through this first few chapters, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Yes, it's funny, but I don't think that funny was the main thing in it. I really enjoyed that they included characters with a certain physical condition. I don't want to say what it is because it's sort of like a spoiler, so I'm not gonna say it, but I really enjoyed that aspect, and I just thought like both of these really surprised me, but mostly because I had low expectations for them. Taya Evans is asking, which of the books that you've read this year would you highly recommend to someone else looking for some new reads? that is like a whole different video. I will mention the Darker Shade of Magic series. I know it's a little bit of like a love-hate thing, or the Raven Cycle as well, again a little bit of a love or hate thing. If you like atmospheric reads with great characters, I would definitely suggest those two. As for more recommendations, I will do the same thing that I did last year at the end of this year, because this was asking for yearly thing. I do my bookish awards video, so that's gonna be like the best of the best in that one. Latte Library is asking what inspired you to start a booktube and how did you find the community? I am fairly certain that the bookish community I found through Jade from JDV Reads, because we were both together in another blog community, and then she sort of stumbled across the bookish stuff and then I followed. As for when I wanted to start the YouTube channel, I wanted to start a YouTube channel way before I found Bookstagram, but I just never really had a feel that I thought that I have enough to say. I didn't think that my life was interesting enough to actually vlog it, which I still don't think it is. I didn't have this like topic to speak about really, because I didn't want to do it in the beauty side of it, because I am I'm nowhere near knowledgeable in that aspect. Not that I'm really not knowledgeable here, but it just gave me an opportunity to speak about books and revisit my love for books, most importantly. And that's why I started, because I wanted to find friends that I can speak about books with, and also I wanted to read more because I stopped reading for a bit. So those are my two reasons really. Garidation is asking if you, in order to save Earth, absolutely had to throw one thing in a volcano, which would you throw? Rereading books or rewatching movie series? Yay for random questions. I love random questions. I would throw rereading books because I love rewatching my shows. Although never rereading Harry Potter. That's okay, I could listen to audiobooks because you didn't specify. So yes, rereading books. Possessive Reader is asking, I'm pretty new on BookTube. Any tips for finding your viewers and on creating content that your viewers might be interested in? I have, I think, a list of 20-something tips. It's a video that I made a couple of months ago, I think. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and click that one. But also, if you want to find a community that will truly be interested in what you make, you must make videos that you are interested in, because if you're just catering for your viewers, then you're not going to be as interested in your own channel, if you know what I mean. You're gonna lose that passion of making videos that you want to make, and if you continue making videos that you want to make, the people who enjoy the same content as you will follow, and that's how you find people. It's just really just being patient. The book chatter is asking what made you get into BookTube or Bookstagram. So again, my wish to get back to reading and to find new people to chat with. Everyone of Words is asking what is your favorite genre? Is definitely fantasy or sci-fi, but probably fantasy. I don't imagine my life, my reading life, without fantasy. Is just something that I always got drawn towards. Yeah, no, fantasy. Sally Ann Loves to Read is asking, do you plan on being a writer? I mean, I feel like at this point in my life I can plan whatever, it's still not gonna happen. But I would love to write, organize enough to write, find time and inspiration to write, even though it's probably if I end up doing that, I have a feeling that it's gonna be just for me type of thing. It's not going to be a career, but I would still love to do it. HensJean26 is asking, I'm going to be in Edinburgh soon. Do you have any old bookshops you recommend? Where was this? Or where is this, I suppose? Actually, Edinburgh has quite a few old bookshops. If you're around Grassmarket area or Royal Mile, I feel like if you venture into any small streets of Edinburgh, there is bound to be an old bookshop store. So I don't think you're gonna have any difficulty finding them. Plus, I think by the time that you're watching this, you probably already visited here. But I'm not the best person to guide anyone in Edinburgh. I don't get out much and I don't know much about this really, so I'm just a crap person to ask about these things. I'm so sorry. We are all fighting. The trouble there to seeing that. We're all fighting is asking, you've mentioned buddy reading before and I'm interested in trying it. How do you do it? I feel like a lot of people do it differently. I personally just decide with the other person that I'm reading how much I'm gonna read in a certain amount of time. So if you're all quite quick readers and you have enough time, then you might set daily goal, I usually, I don't buddy read. If I read with very specific people that I know can stand buddy reading with me, because with my like job, other things, and my mental health, sometimes even if I plan to read, sometimes I'm not able to read, and when I do read, I read very quick, like very slowly. So it takes like a special kind of person to buddy read with me and be okay with it. Plus it sometimes stresses me out, so I don't buddy read a lot. I'm not an expert on buddy reading in any type of aspect, but that's how we did it. And sometimes at some points you would just discuss what you've read, so you might agree that you catch up weekly or you catch up daily, and you can either just chat on Instagram for the chapters that you read and your thoughts on it. And I personally sometimes ask people to Skype with me instead, because I couldn't be bothered typing. So it really is what you're comfortable with, and you just have to work with another person, and the point is to just talk about the book while you read it, which also, by the way, is sort of like a thing that I do with my book in a jar. That was the whole point of it, so you can enjoy that as well. Griffin.tribe is asking, does anyone recognize you now? And the answer is absolutely not. I never went to like a big book event though. I really want to go next year to the one in London. What's it called? Yalc or something ugly. It's the one in London. I think it's like the main one in UK, because your girl is broke and can't afford to go to all the American ones. I'm so jealous, because I know at the moment there's something also going on, and I'm just like seeing all of the videos and Instagram stories, feeling left out, but it's okay. But to answer that question, no. So those are all of the questions that I've received on Instagram. Thank you again so much for asking these. I hope you enjoyed my answers. I hope they were sufficient. I'm gonna host one of these at some point again, so I'll ask on my social medias if you'll have any questions. I really like doing these videos because I feel like people get to know me even a little bit more, and you know me, I like to keep this channel quite personal, and I share a lot of things, and I just love sharing more of my side, and I also love hearing more about you. So let me know some random facts or some random thoughts about you, so I get to know you a little bit better as well. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you very soon then. Bye!